Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars universe seems to be quite expansive, not just with their new books, novels, comics, and video games, but also, let's not forget about the new Star Wars TV shows and movies that are currently in the pipeline by Disney executives and Bob Chapek, the CEO of all things. And how Favreau and Filoni, by the way, are really getting involved to regulate the Star Wars franchise moving ahead. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support, it is greatly appreciated. Now, ever since the release of the Kenobi series, there's no doubt about it that a lot of fans have been up in arms over what they did with that show, based on the decisions between Joby Harold and Deborah Chow, as well as Kathleen Kennedy, on handling the series and condensing it into 6 episodes, some of which were, by the way, very short. Now, given that actor Hayden Christensen did a fantastic job in the show, at least in my opinion, I don't know about you guys, but Hayden really nailed it as both Vader and Anakin. It was great to see him back again as Anakin Skywalker in the form of flashbacks. The only criticism that a lot of fans had with the Anakin scenes is the fact that they really did dial back on the funding for the de-aging technology, and that's why he didn't look 100% on point in comparison to how he appears in Attack of the Clones, but I think it was good enough, to be honest. Now, when you look at everything related to what Disney is doing now with actor Hayden Christensen, has a lot to do with the fact of what he recently signed on for when it comes to this massive deal that Disney offered to Hayden, a revised version of this deal for Hayden Christensen that he actually recently signed on for and agreed to actually take part in. Now, with that being said, with many new Star Wars shows currently in the works under Disney that will be announced in the coming months, recently actor Hayden Christensen signed a revised deal made by Disney that will be applied to his presence as both Anakin and Vader in the Star Wars franchise, that is going to truly satisfy the fandom. Now, it's noted that Hayden just agreed to a massive Star Wars deal that will cater to the Disney Plus platform, where he is set to reappear as both Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker in 10 Star Wars projects in multiple ways. This is said to be a mixture of both live-action material and animated, however the majority is going to be focused on live-action shows. Hayden is already training for a new mystery series that will be announced at Celebration, and is also set to appear as a Force Ghost by Favreau in The Mandalorian 4 that is now slated for a 2024 release if no delays happen in between. Let me pause here quickly for a second. Now, what I like about this deal is that Hayden is not only getting involved with projects under Favreau and Filoni, but he's also getting involved in the other projects that will actually continue the Kenobi storyline. So, we already know that the Kenobi soft reboot, it's in the early stages. Hayden will be a part of that, coming back as Vader and Anakin. We'll dive into that in just a second. There's a lot of other things also happening behind the scenes on things like animated shows, motion capture sequences, etc. They also, of course, are trying to really do something very unique with the animated shows by making them look more realistic in a sense, instead of how they appear in the Clone Wars or, for example, Tales of the Jedi, right? So that leads us to the next scenario here of where this actually, puts Hayden. Well, basically Hayden is now getting the limelight that he deserves. I mean, he's been out of the Star Wars game for a very long time, ever since, the Revenge of the Sith film, and then he came back for the Kenobi show, which was honestly probably the best thing that could have happened to him in years. It's just very unfortunate that things ended up the way that they did, with the show getting so much criticism and all, and go figure, it was the one Star Wars project that he came back to in over 10 years. So, anyways, on top of this, the good news about this is that Hayden is back. The other great news about this is that he's back for 10 whole projects on Disney Plus in different ways, as a Force Ghost, as Clone Wars Anakin, as Vader, as an animated character, as Anakin Endor Vader. I mean, there's a lot of things going into this that's going to be under the realm of Favreau and Filoni, so to speak. So on to the next thing. Now, this of course comes after Disney realized the fandom getting hyped for Hayden coming back for the roles of Vader and Anakin. Lucasfilm already has plans for tons of Clone Wars era flashback scenes that will be scattered throughout multiple Star Wars live-action installments, as well as different sides of Vader that will be shown in new Star Wars projects, one of which is said to involve Hayden being attached to the Kenobi series soft reboot, as well to build up a rematch between Vader and Kenobi once more before they meet again in A New Hope. So let's pause here quick again. Now, they are going to be giving us another rematch between Vader and Kenobi, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of fans felt that the show was underwhelming, and if they're doing this soft reboot, which they are, they want to give us another rematch between Vader and Kenobi. And you know what? I kind of agree with that. Some may say that it's fine the way that things left off with, with the Kenobi show, but if they're doing a soft reboot, and they are, it's best to actually have them fight against each other again, because you need that build-up, you need that hype, and I understand that. So that's another thing that they're building towards. And it's going to be all done by Favreau and Filoni, and how we're going to be getting their version of Vader and Kenobi dueling it out. And I'm sure, and I have no doubt, that they're going to be able to deliver properly. So that brings us to where the fans stand right now. Well, Celebration is going to be a big deal. We're going to be learning about this massive deal that Hayden signed, officially speaking, next year, where he actually will be presenting himself on stage, announcing all these new projects, or at least some of them, that's going to lead up to the other ones. Now, this animated one really makes you wonder whether or not it's the Clone Wars, continuation in animated form. It may very well be, or it could very well be a different animated show that stands on its own that features Anakin. It could be either or, really. So that brings us to the next thing here that I do want to bring up, is that, of course, this was a big decision that was revised and completed by Bob Chapek, the CEO, that was looked over by Favreau and Filoni. With him returning as Anakin and Vader in multiple ways and in different shows, Disney is optimistic they can build hype for the new shows now. So, once again, this is a great example of Disney finally doing something that's going to satisfy the fandom. Now, I understand, it's not just about signing things and making deals, but they also have to make this, present itself properly. It's got to be executed correctly. You can't just throw Anakin in there for the sake of it, right? It has to really lend itself to the story, and it has to really feel authentic. And that's where Favreau and Filoni find the balance. That's where they really specialize in. And I think that's why a lot of people love Mando Season 2. They knew how much little or how, too much of Luke would have been out of reach. They found the perfect formula to introduce Luke again in Mando Season 2, and they nailed it. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.